Well, I'm wearing New England hockey garb, so I'm not wearing movie-related stuff. I've only got like 3 Star Wars hats and any Star Trek hats. But from the theater yesterday, I did pick up, and it was $8 and whatever. But I got a Star Trek Beyond cup, which is funny because it's not playing there anymore. But I got my little Enterprise on top, so that's pretty nifty. That was the selling point for me, anyway. I can't believe they charge $8 for cups that, without the Star Trek Beyond logo and the spoiler on it. 'Cause that to me is a spoiler. But anyways, um, it's a $2 cup. They just print something on it and it turns to $8. But this video is not about price gouging. This is about something that I notice happens a lot with movies. People pile on. I went to see Suicide Squad yesterday, which is of course known by people who watched my review of that. And I went against type in that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And it is the latest example of a movie with negative reviews that I've actually really enjoyed, that I wasn't supposed to. There are 3 movies I have here. I did not see them in the theater. There were negative reviews that caused me not to see 2 of them in the theater. And I'm talking both critical and from people. Where people are like, these movies suck, they're terrible, shouldn't have been made, yada yada yada. And in all 3 cases, they're mindless fun. Not every movie's going to be The Godfather. To be completely honest, I've never been able to get all the way through the Godfather movies. It's never happened for me. I just can't. They're too long. I have watched Goodfellas 15, 20 times. I've watched Casino about 5, 6, 7 times. And those are long movies too, but Godfather's just so long, and I just can't do it. Citizen Kane, I've never been able to get all the way through. Like, I've tried watching all of the big classics. I love 12 Angry Men, To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, there are a lot of good movies out there. But sometimes you watch a movie and you enjoy it, and you just enjoy it as a movie. And for whatever reason, that's not considered a valid reason by some people anymore. So let me start with the one that people are probably going to be like, pardon me. This is a used deep Blu-ray copy of Friday the 13th, the remake, starring Jared Padalecki, also known as Sam, on Supernatural. And he can't play anybody but Sam on Supernatural. So if you watch Supernatural, you will spend this movie wondering when Dean's going to show up. Because you can't kill Jason without Sam and Dean together. Dean doesn't show up because he's on the set of My Bloody Valentine waiting for Sam to show up. Here's the thing. The Friday the 13th movies are terrible. All of them are terrible. Freddy vs. Jason is a good movie. Jason Goes to Hell tries to be a good movie. Jason X knows it's a piece of crap and doesn't try to pretend it isn't a piece of crap. And it makes fun of itself all the way through. And Jason X also looks like it uses sets on the spaceship parts that would later be used on my favorite show, Andromeda. And a lot of the cast of Andromeda is in it. So it's kind of funny because it preceded Andromeda, not by much. So maybe they went, well, we've got this cast and we've got this ship, so let's make up a show around that. And then Andromeda was born. But when this remake came out, immediately the venom started. Oh, this movie's terrible. The original movie is awful. I have watched the original Friday the 13th many, many times. And the reason Friday the 13th movies are rewatchable is simple. It is a formula that is tired and drawn out and worn out. And I hate to tell you, but Friday the 13th was nothing more than a cash grab off people who enjoyed Halloween. Without Michael Myers, you don't have Jason Voorhees. Voorhees was a cash grab. The original Friday the 13th, of course, does not feature Jason. It features Mrs. Voorhees in a role that Betsy Palmer played Mrs. Voorhees. At the time, she was considered a respected actress, and how dare she be in this smutty, horrible little film that almost got an X rating for violence and gore. And the honest truth is, by today's standards, the Friday the 13th movies are pretty tame. The reason that I like Friday the 13th movies, and I hate the horror movies that came out after, I don't like watching people get tortured. I don't enjoy that. I can handle a slasher flick where a bunch of teenagers go up to a cabin and one by one they get picked off, whatever. When the Saw movies came out, and then Hostel and these other ones, and Human Centipede and all that crap, that to me isn't horror. Because you're not jumping. You're not like, oh wow, can't believe that just happened. To me, that's just it's it's torturing the viewer. It's almost like directors at one point went, well, we've done the gore thing. Let's see how much people can endure. Let's see. Let's make this basically Guantanamo Bay on film and see how much they can endure. And I don't want to watch that crap. I really don't. The Saw movies, I have parts 2 and 3. I don't have the original. I think the original is boring. I like 2 and 3 because they tell a story that's decent when viewed as a trilogy, and then it went off the rails after that. Like 4 was just garbage, 5 was garbage, 6 was garbage, and then they went, oh, well, people aren't coming out to see our garbage as much. But this reboot took a lot of flack. Now, I will admit this: the makeup job they gave Jason in this movie is terrible. It is awful, and the fact that anybody but Kane Hodder plays Jason is, to me, still criminal. But this is a good movie. As a Friday the 13th. Part of what I'm able to do when I watch a movie is I don't sit down and go, okay, this has to be better than Inception. Inception is a fantastic movie from start to finish that messes with your brain. Doesn't make a lot of sense if you really think about it, but I don't really worry about that. And I don't sit down with this and expect it to be as complicated and as intricate as Inception, and I don't expect it to be as cool and different as the original Matrix movie was, or as insightful as Moneyball was with baseball. Like I don't see. I have good movies and I enjoy good movies, but I also enjoy just silly slasher flicks. And honestly, the fact that Jared Padalecki's character is there looking for his sister, and that Jason has her kidnapped somewhere because she looks like his mother did. That is more character development and background story than any of the Friday the 13th ever had or tried to have. This movie actually gives you characters you dislike, which every Friday the 13th did, but it tries to give you characters you care about, which not every Friday the 13th did. This isn't a, well, she's a virgin so she lives movie either. They do resort to a cheap jump scare at the end, but in general, it's a good movie. And I enjoyed it as a Friday the 13th movie. Friday the 13th, let me just quickly review Friday the 13th. 1's garbage, 2's garbage with Jason in it, 3's garbage with a hockey mask, and 3 defects. 4's garbage with a really high body count and lots of gore. 5 is garbage with porn mixed in. 6 is half-decent storyline that ignores part 5 ever happened, the smartest thing they did in the series. 7's Carrie versus Jason, and it's cheesy and weird. 8's a total piece of garbage where he goes to New York, and it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. None of it makes any sense. 9 is Jason Goes to Hell, which tries to be a good movie, does its best. It incorporates Aaron Gray, which warms my heart, and Allison Smith, which also warms my heart. But in general, it had its problems. Jason speaks in Jason Goes to Hell. It's something I picked up on immediately, and I jumped out of my seat when it happened. Nobody else seemed to think it was a big deal, but I did. Jason spoke. Part 10 is Jason X Jason Goes to Space. It's fun. It's mindless fun, and it tries. It does something different. And then Jason Goes to Hell happens. Jason Goes to Hell is a fantastic movie from start to finish. And then they went with this. I don't have a problem with it. I genuinely don't have a problem with this movie. So I don't know. I think people expect more out of movies than they're going to get, and I think that's why this movie disappointed so many people. I don't like Michael Bay. I will admit Michael Bay is responsible for the downfall of most of mankind's problems today. I think global warming may be related to Michael Bay. Um, I'm not sure about uh, global hunger, but global warming could be attributed to Michael Bay movies. All kidding aside, this movie is about clones of celebrities who are being grown so that their organs can be harvested for said celebrities or rich people who have health problems, who have genetic health problems. I'm like, my liver's going to die in 2 years. I don't want to die with my liver. I need you to grow me something in a petri dish that will allow me to live. So they grow full-sized people and then kill them and harvest their organs. It features Ewan McGregor playing himself and himself, and it's fun to watch him do what he does in this movie. It is a fun, mindless movie. I don't know what people expected from this. I don't know. I don't know if the hate this movie gets is because, as it says up top, it's a Michael Bay film. I hate the Bad Boys movies. I'll say that right up front. I hate them. I liked the Transformers movie, and then parts 2 and 3 were garbage. Couldn't stand them. I like this movie. This was on TV last night. This is why I'm doing this video now. I still enjoy this movie. And I look for flaws. I look for things that drive me nuts, and I don't see them. The funniest thing in this movie, if you want a drinking game, okay, right here, Scarlett Johansson's picture looking over her shoulder. And I believe she always looks over her left shoulder. So I totally agree with Michael Bay that womankind achieved physical perfection in this movie with Scarlett Johansson. This was the best looking she ever was. She hasn't been as good looking since. She wasn't as good looking before this. It's not an insult to her. It is a compliment to this movie and the way Michael Bay shot it. It is the best a woman has ever looked, but only from the left side, because she always looks over her left shoulder. There's a part towards the end of the movie where she looked over her right, and the first time I watched it, I said out loud to the screen, "No, no, sweetie, you're left." And she changes sides and looks over her left shoulder. And I laughed. I remember my ex-wife was like, "I don't know what you're laughing about," but I thought it was really funny. Because to me it was obvious Michael Bay had figured out there's a side Scarlett looks better from, there's an angle Scarlett looks fantastic from, and that's what I'm shooting from in this whole damn movie. And he's right. And there are little moments in this movie. There's a moment where these two characters hold hands, and you see the other Ewan McGregor looking at the clone Ewan McGregor, and this look. And it's like you can see him turn at that moment. It's like, you know what? That's a good subtle thing from Michael Bay, who's not known for being subtle. This movie takes a lot of flack. I went on IMDb after I watched it last night and found out there are a lot of people who defend this movie and then get slammed into the ground. So I want to be one of the ones that stands up and says, it's not a bad movie. Again, you're not going to get Citizen Kane all the time. You know what a terrible movie is? Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind is insufferable. It's over 4 hours. It's racist. It's stupid. It's overdrawn. You could cut the movie in half and lose nothing. It's pointless. It's pathetic. It's cheap sentiment. And I lived with somebody for 15 years who watched it about once a month. And it is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And yet, anytime you see 100 greatest movies of all time, 100 movies you have to see before you die, Gone with the Wind's on it. Is this ever going to be on it? Is The Island ever going to be on it? No. Does it belong there? No. But do I think Gone with the Wind belongs there? No. Because it's all about opinion. And in my opinion, this is a pretty damn good movie. But I'm really going to take flack. If anybody isn't already frothing at the mouth because I defended the Friday the 13th reboot and The Island. Tron Legacy. Okay, I'll just wait while everybody yells at the screen or turns the video off. Okay, you're still here? Okay, good. Tron Legacy. The original Tron movie I had never seen before I watched Tron Legacy. I had tried as a kid. There were a few times it was on TV and I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch Tron. I'm going to watch Tron. And I get 15 minutes into it, but like, oh, is there something else on TV? And I turn it off. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. This movie came out in the theater, and I wanted to go and see it in the theater. And then the reviews came in, and the reviews were, eh. And then the reviews from the viewers came in, and it was all, this is nothing. It has none of the heart of the original. The original was fantastic and beautiful and wonderful. So I thought, oh, I can't go watch that in the theater. Then one day it's on Movie Central, which is, for those of you in the U.S., it's uh, our premier movie service for those of us with cable or satellite. And so I watched it. And I spent the entire 2 hours with the TV really loud. And I loved it. Then we got a high def TV. The entire time I watched this on a high definition television, my jaw was on the floor. I honestly think this is fantastic. So years pass. The original Tron was on cheap on Amazon, and I thought, you know what? I'm buying it. Not even going to think about it. I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to sit through it. So I got it, and I sat with my son and we watched it. And after, I said, you know what? That's not half as good as Tron Legacy. Again, there's no character development in the original Tron. There's no great dramatic depth to it. People who say that this movie is stupid didn't pay attention during the original, because none of that makes sense either. Like, so he goes into the computer, and Tron himself is a representation of his best friend out in the real world, and then the girl that he likes, she's in the computer too, and it's like, so it's Wizard of Oz with computers then? That's not original. You know, Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, all of her friends, uncles, whoever else, they're all in this dream she has when she's in Oz. So is he dreaming then? No, he's really in the computer. How? How? I mean, the suspension of disbelief for me as a little kid was I knew how computers worked and you can't live in them. So I was done. This movie at least presents a world that, while you can't live inside a computer, makes it look pretty damn much like you're inside a computer. And it really makes it look fantastic. Disney got the look down, the mood, the feel down, and it is honestly, this movie for me is one of my all-time favorites. And I don't understand the hate it gets. I really don't. Is it shallow? So's the original. It's Disney. You don't get great thematic, fantastic movies from Disney these days. You're not going to. The movie didn't make the kind of money they wanted it to, so there is no third movie planned. There was when it first came out. Those plans got scrapped. I think that's a shame, because I think what this movie sets up for this guy right here is pretty damned amazing. Now, the actual acting talent of Garrett Hedlund, who plays the main character in this, he doesn't need to be a good actor. He just needs to look cool. And he looks cool. Is he a great actor? No. But if they wanted a great actor, they would have got, like, Michael Keaton in this movie. That would have changed things quite a bit. Because if Michael Keaton was the kid of Jeff Bridges, you've really got to change the movie completely if that happens. But I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. There is some off-putting CGI involving making Jeff Bridges look younger. You can tell it's a CGI face talking. It's more off-putting in the flashbacks than it is when Clue's talking. When Clue talks, that's fine if he looks a little fake because you're inside a computer. So it's okay. Olivia Wilde, I think, is a delight in this. And the bike races in this are far more amazing than anything in the original movie. And I have the original movie, as I said. I've watched it a couple of times. I give every movie equal opportunity, and I just find this to be superior. So it's a strange mix of movies they come up with today. These are three movies that I feel get far more flack, both in terms of movie reviews by reviewers and people, than they necessarily deserve. You're not always going to get an Oscar winner. You're not, and honestly, Oscar-winning movies often are the ones that bore me to sleep. They just, like, I've watched The King's Speech and I enjoyed it. I'll never watch it again. It's not going to happen. Out of Africa back in the 80s, I hated that movie. Really, really, really hate Amadeus. I tried to get through Amadeus. I couldn't get through Amadeus. There's a certain kind of movie that wins Oscars and everybody claps and goes, "That's fantastic and amazing." And usually when I see that, it's a movie that's going to put me to sleep. I want I want action. I want something fun. I want action. I want something that's fun, a little mindless, and the sex appeal in this is, I mean, any full-blooded male, okay, who watches this movie and goes, "I didn't see anything worth watching in that," really has to be blind. And Tron Legacy for me is fun and interesting, and it doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense. Yes, Clue sends a message out into the real world which undermines the entire rest of the movie. I agree. Now that we agree on that, I say the movie's pretty darn good. So those are my 3 movies for today. I will do this occasionally where I pull out movies that I have in my collection, which I enjoy, which people in general usually don't. And I will also be looking for movies that are lost classics. Movies that didn't get any attention at all, good or bad, back when they were released, and I feel deserve more attention than they get. In this day and age of online streaming and of torrents and of all that wonderful stuff, any movie that I talk about, you can find if you look for it. Because it is now the day and age of everything being available everywhere. So, that being said, I hope everybody has a good day. I hope you enjoyed this. And thanks. Thanks for watching. And I will talk to you all again soon.